easy to get burned out. They're all on the fence. Ready for the pledge. Councilman Haygood, would you make an invocation?
May we pray. Dear Heavenly and gracious Father, Lord, it's once again we come before you. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that it meets your approval first. Father, we pray, Lord, that with every decision that is made here in this room tonight, dear Heavenly Father, may it be for the benefit of the people. And Father, we just ask, Lord, that you will continue to strive with the town of Williamston, that we may continue to grow in love and in honor for one another. These and all things we ask in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Please join me on our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Members of council, you all have in your agenda packet, you should have rather, the regular meeting minutes for February 2nd meeting. You have time to review them. I'll entertain a motion to adopt. Any discussion? Councilman Rogers. I'm sorry, Councilman Rogers. Who did I say? No, sorry. Been a long day, guys. All right. Any discussions? Next up, we have public comment. You go a little bit, not big deal. We have a lot of business to take care of. Thank you. Let me work.
For those of you who do not know me, most of you do, I think. My name is Michael Brown, resident of just outside of Williamston, but I was plant engineer at the Milliken Cushman plant for 37 years.
You still are, aren't you?
I retired in October. So I'm still there about 4 days a week consulting, so helping them along, so. But license, so that's kind of my post-retirement job now, so. But the reason I'm here tonight, on December 22nd, I had an inspector, Clark Taylor from CCNI Services, which I didn't know who that was until now, so. And I was replacing some vinyl on my house at 8 West 1st Street. I wasn't there, a friend of mine was doing it for me. But in the process of doing that, he had to disconnect the electrical side where it connects to your house where the pole rises out. So it was disconnected for them to tear it off. Called me, which I was actually, should have done it before, but I was on the way up here to see Kimberly to get my town license. Because I knew I would need that for any work I do from there on out. But he stopped, gave me a cease and desist, called due power, cut my power off. Entered my house without my consent, walked through the house, and then calls me, because my guy said he's wanting to talk to you, so he called him, and he said, seen where you removed the commode and a light in here? And he said, I said, yeah. He said, well, you're gonna need a plumbing permit now, you're gonna need an electrical permit. And he said, your vinyl, you're gonna need a remodeling construction permit. And he said, I also said, are you upgrading your HVAC? And I said, yeah. He said, well, you're gonna need a mechanical permit. I thought, whatever, I had all these permits in place. With my GC license, I thought I'd just be able to pull these, but I wasn't. Look back through the laws and regulations, and then in a municipality, you can basically put in whatever you want to. So he told me I had to have basically the contractor that does that type of service pull that permit, which I had never dealt with before. For 4 permits, and he wouldn't let me proceed with the vinyl until I had all permits in place. And I told him, I said, I wasn't going to do the rest of the remodeling on the house till later in the year. I upgrade all my electrical in the house because of it, upgrade all my plumbing in the house. And with these additional costs, my typical remodel is probably $50,000, and I'm going to be approaching about 80 grand now with the additional, so $30,000 more dollars. Long story short is, in the past, I've never really had to deal with this with Anderson County. I've never dealt with Greenville. And with this, if I was somebody that bought property, which a lot of people do, and I did in the past, I would actually have to consider a dirt. But the last inspector I talked to was a gentleman named Lightsey, and he basically got pretty rude with me and told me, he said, you've never dealt with a company like us. You're going to go way above and beyond anything you've ever had to do. I'm going to make sure you dot every I, cross every T, and that house will be perfect before we sign off on anything. And that was my 2 cents. I'm sorry, I went over about 40 seconds.
You're good. You might mind staying for just a couple of questions? I've got just a couple.
Yeah.
I want to make sure. Was this what your primary is? Is this a rental house?
No, sir, yeah, I have a few left, but I had it as a rental house, and I've had it since probably 20-something years.
Was, in the question that came up, I wasn't even aware of this, general contractors, you mentioned you had limited general contractor.
Unlimited general contractor license.
Am I correct in understanding that, based on the code, that you can't pull a permit on that house to do a general contract, it has to be a commercial license?
That is up to the municipality. That's up for, I guess, the municipality or whoever you're using for permitting to decide. Every house I've done up to now,
Yeah.
Anderson and Greenville counties let me pull all the permits. I know for straight off, if I build a house from scratch, I'll pull every permit, every show that works under me. And that's what I had always been used to. But it is exactly what you said. You can, as a municipality, you can require that.
And is that strictly on a rental house with the county, or is that any?
I think it's up to the municipality, and you can choose, basically municipality, you can choose to put any constraints on anything you'd like to.
Yeah.
You can make it where all residential permits are pulled by each individual trade if you wanted to. That's just how.
It's my understanding, though, Mike, Mr. Brandt, I could be wrong, but it's my understanding that everything we adopted is exactly the same as what the county has. Now, the county may be not so, what's the term I'm looking for? May not be so zealous to enforce that, I'm not sure. But we're very careful not to go above and beyond, even so much as their fees.
Yeah.
When we brought CCNI in, we adopted the exact same fees that the county had, at that time.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Mayor, from my point, I had never thought of that either until, and like you said, the whole above and beyond and being zealous, until that gentleman basically told me that he was gonna ensure, because he told me, he said, you're gonna need to get your plumber down there when I do my plumbing inspection, because he's gonna have to do things he's never had to do before. So, I mean, and I told my plumber that, I said, be prepared, you need to be there when it's on site. And here's my thing, just my biggest thing, there's certain things that I wasn't gonna redo my entire plumbing system. I was gonna replace toilets, things, vanity, stuff, general little things, but now I've got to do thermal barrier insulation, under insulation, which it is gonna be better for the house, long story short, but my profit margin on this house now is not gonna be anywhere near what it was before in the past. And then when rates the way they are, the housing, that value is also down, so. It was just a concern of mine.
Well, I appreciate you bringing those concerns up. As one member of council, I'm sure the rest of us do as well. I do have one more quick question. When's the last time that you dealt with Anderson County on something similar? In other words, I'm curious if
It would
something
probably,
has changed in the last.
it would have been, oh gosh, the last one would have been the house I had done on Lander Street, which was probably 2-3 years prior. It was probably just before CCI came in, I guess.
Okay, does any other member of council have anything?
Do you have to have any re-inspections, Michael?
Right now, well, it's funny you say that, David. So that's another thing. He told me right off the bat, and the ladies in the office, I just don't know if they're familiar or not, but he told me, he said, I've got to, because I told him I wanted him down there for electrical, so I upgraded all the electrical. And he told me, he said, you can't have an electrical inspection, you haven't had a rough in yet. I said, rough in? This house has been built 7 years ago. I mean, the walls are up, the sheetrock's up. What do you mean roughing? So I ended up having to do a bunch of demo and going to have to spend a lot more money putting sheetrock back in it now that I didn't have to do that. So.
Any other member of council?
He was his last name. And as I understand, he is not the normal inspector for this jurisdiction. I think it's a heavier set man, but I think he's out on leave right now or something like this, and this is a young guy.
Michael, let me apologize, Mayor. Let me ask a question, and I apologize if you went over this before I got in. Have, in any of your dealings with CCNI, have you had to have you felt like that they tell you everything at once that needs to be done?
Oh, that's, yeah, that
or
was,
they go back and, or
no,
they come back and
that was my main thing. I was just wanting to get one for the vinyl, just get the vinyl done, because I had the guys, and honestly, I'll tell you the thing that upset me the most about cutting the heat off is when it was so cold right around December, I had all the vinyl inside getting it warm, acclimated where I could, and there's some builders in the room will tell you, trying to do this stuff cold, it just snaps. And he killed my power, so I had them having to wait around, and it was almost a month before I had to get all the permits in place. And because I had to get trades, I had to reach out to some of my subs that I used and get them to pull the permits for the mechanical. He let me pull the one for the remodeling, and I pulled the electrical, but I had to get a plumbing and a mechanical for the, and all I did on the mechanical, I'm just replacing the outside unit.
And let me make sure I understand too, so the vinyl's being replaced, so the service line coming from the pole to the house had to be removed off the
Yes,
side of the house?
you know how you got like a clamp right above where the service
You got
the
the
cap is, where the weatherhead is, right before above that little C-clamp? I had just removed the C-clamp so I could replace the vinyl line. And I was gonna put the C-clamp.
Okay, so the wire went down on the ground,
No,
there's no life safety issue?
No.
So he just happened to be riding by and saw his C-clamp?
Well, that's what he kind of said, he was on a ride by. But I don't know anything other than that, and I'm not gonna make any assumptions to that guy.
What I've heard from Mr. Brand, I'm sorry, what I've heard from some other, simplifying it, because I'm not an expert in these things, but they'll go down and say, okay, one thing wrong, check that off and go ahead and write you up for that one thing. And then when they come, then you fix that one thing, then they come back, then they go, oh, there's something else.
Yeah,
Instead of just telling you up front, these are the things that need to be done, these are the violations, it's like they're moving that.
Yeah, and I will say, Attorney, I've dealt with that on some prior inspections too, where they don't give you the full acclimated list. They always find a little something extra when they come in. But the thing back to your original question is, I thought I could just get the permit for the vinyl and go ahead and proceed. And he told me, no, I had to get all permits in place before I could proceed on anything. Which, I'd never had to do that either, so. And I told him, I said, he said, well, your permit's good for 6 months. I said, well, I'm not planning on doing this stuff till midsummer, so it won't be good. He said, well, you just have to re-up it then. I'm like, why would I want to pull a permit now if I'm not gonna do the work till midsummer?
But let me ask you one more question, looking back on it, do you wish now you just wouldn't have made any improvements on the property?
Honestly, and this is funny you get back and say, I actually sold another house on Lander this last, and I actually just did a as-is, because it was an after the fact, but during the same time frame, because of what I ran into CCI, I ended up selling that house as is and didn't renovate it, because I knew it was gonna cost me so much more. And if I knew what I knew now, I would have done the same thing with this house.
Any other member of council? Mr. Brand, thank you so much.
Thank y'all for your time.
My apologies for being late.
Next up, no comment?
Betty Cannon.
Ms. Cannon.
Mayor Burgess, Councilman, I am Betty Cannon. The Women Auxiliary to the Rocky River Baptist Association is requesting the use of the amphitheater at the Mineral Spring Park for World Day of Prayer on Monday, November 1st, 2027, from 5 to 6 p.m. Thank you, President Minister Richard Patterson, submitted by Betty Cannon on this day, March 2nd, 2026.
Thank you so much. Any member of council object? As long as we don't have anything already on the books, and I'm not aware of anything, make sure Michelle gets that entered into our stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cannon.
Tony, how you doing?
Council, you go there. sir.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask Mayor Harris, if it's okay, I'll just speak from here. I'm coming as a representative for two different entities. My first one is 110 North Hamilton Street, and as y'all know, that's Unity Mortuary. The issue that we have there, we just recently did some renovation to our carport there. We, boxed it in and put new vinyl siding on the side. What we want to ask is if it's possible, and I'll probably have to get Kevin Strickland with y'all's blessings, there is a tree on the town's property beside the water tank that hangs over the fence and over on the the mortuary's property. And I always want to add, small, yeah. So we can just get that out, because if it falls, it's gonna fall on our side and on the building.
We'll make sure that happens. Don't let me forget, Councilman, if you don't mind, reach out to Kevin though.
Okay.
And just let him know that that's been approved.
And forgive me for not bringing, I was gonna bring pictures, but I've had a long day as well. And then there's also, a patch, you know, that the, bamboo canes there are just notorious for growing all over the place. And there's a patch there, that if y'all would get that little patch for us, because it's on your side of the fence. We would get it, but it's on the other side, and we don't have access. So if y'all would take care of that for us. And the second one, 609 Greenville Drive, that's New Prospect Baptist Church. We've had this problem quite a few times. This Saturday it was a little worse than ever. We have a manhole right on the side of the church, which is on Church Street. For some reason, there is I think there's another manhole on Greenville Drive that stops up. And when it stops up, it backs up, and it stops up the manhole there right next to the church. When that happens, it backflows into the church. And right now, we have some overflow because of the fact that the manhole is backflowing and is pushing it back into the church. And we've got probably several rooms downstairs that are just soaked.
Just a second. If you're familiar with that, isn't it possible to add some type of check valve on the sewer line, so if that does happen, is that a major expense? Do you agree with me?
No, they're not that expensive.
Maybe we look at doing that as well. Is that an issue that happens regularly, or is this something that?
It happens periodically, but I think this is maybe the first or second time that it's been to the extent of where it backs up in the church. Now, let me also ask, if we have to have professionals to come out to clean that up downstairs, now, do we absorb that bill, or?
I'm not sure.
Typically, and Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, but typically don't contact the insurance company.
Yes,
Our insurance.
yeah. And if it's less than the deductible, obviously, we would, but.
I'd say get an estimate on it and try to figure out what it's gonna take. The insurance requires a couple things. Number one, they gotta be able to document that it was definitely the main line backed up and stuff like that, which Kevin should have those records, but, did they come out and jet it? Is that how they remedied the problem?
Well, see, that's just that I don't know, because I didn't find out about it until Sunday morning.
You know, they had an issue on Church Street Friday. They worked the better part of the day on Friday resolving the issue.
And the jetter was tore up at some point in time because it was.
They tore it up there, I think.
So that may be the same case.
Okay, thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you. Just get an estimate, get with Michelle. We'll confirm that it is something related to the main line.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
No more.
Any more? All right, next up we have, presentations. Anybody got any presentations? Chief, you good?
Good.
Oh, chiefs, we got two chiefs here now. Committee reports, Roberta, you're up. With Division Williamston.
Mayor Council, thank you for allowing me to be here. Pastor's breakfast is Tuesday, March the 10th at 8 a.m. in the banquet rooms. Rains in Williamston is providing the food, so try to attend if you can. Junk in Your Trunk yard sale is Saturday, March the 21st. The first concert of the year will be at Rock in the Spring. That's on Saturday, April the 4th. We've got the Carolina Coast Band that's coming to bring us the smooth sounds of summer at the shore. The Easter Bunny will be at that event for pictures. And Huff and I are getting our schedules together to see when the Easter Bunny will be on the fire truck. And we'll send out an email and let you all know when the Easter Bunny will be riding around town on the fire truck. Town Cleanup Day, we'll have a meeting before then, but just mark your calendars. Town Cleanup Day is April the 18th, and ROTC has committed to have a movie sponsor for Camping Creekside. That's on May the 22nd. Tony Young with PC Builds. Get it right? PCS, okay, Fields, and then Christine, and he's doing Camping Creekside, and Christina Ortiz, State Farm, will be sponsoring the Cinema Saturday, and that's September the 12th. Each year, Envision Williamston likes to ask is $2,128 each plus tax. cost, we'd like, if the town would consider having them installed, we would like them in front of the amphitheater. The flower beds were cleaned off there, there's no place you can sit in that area. So if we put them kind of not directly up next to the tree, but a parent wanted to sit there and watch their kids on the playground, if they're bigger kids, they could do that as well. My board has already granted me the permission to move forward, but we would need your permission, and we would also need you to choose the color. We like the dark blue and thought it would hold up well.
Are they vinyl coated or everything?
I can get you they're a metal swing, and they do have some kind of coating on them, but I can get you the specifics on them. They're like the picnic tables that you see at other parks and things like that.
I'll speak on behalf of the town. I'm sure that we can, make sure that we get them inset into the ground properly. I don't like the supports on it.
Okay.
And the reason being, if they made one that had a bar that goes all the way across, it would be much better. And the reason for that is when you got a lot of weight on it, those things want to do this number right here and come in. If it has support across, all the way across top of it,
We can get some like that, but the reason that we kind of looked at these instead is so teenagers wouldn't be swinging on them. So we said that they would be standing in the swings and swinging on them. So we specifically looked at those for that reason.
I just know that we have, and just for those of you who are watching online or maybe in the audience, some questions came up whenever we put in the new playground equipment there. Why did we add more seating? There's a legitimate answer to that. The reason being is code says you have to be so far back from the permanent structure, from the swings and the play area itself, that there's tremendous liability if we would install a permanent fixture in any other location. So we're maxed out as far as what we can put inside there permanently. So we did install some, not install, but we got some vinyl, or we call it like a composite wood. It would never rot, swing. It was basically a par-pitch swing. It lasted about 2 weeks. It's over there at the shed. We got to redo those things. So whatever we put out there has to be really, really, really heavy duty. They get not just a lot of use, but they get a lot of abuse as well. So I've got that's one of my primary concerns is that I just know the laws of physics, and those things are going to be folded in no time, guaranteed.
And there were other things with this company. You can look on the website and see all the products. This is a reputable company. There were other products that we looked at. We looked at tables, at picnic tables that could be put in that area. We looked at benches that could be put in that area. There's some obviously that have backs and some that don't. So there's a lot of different products, and there were different swings as well. But we were just trying to think of the logistics of what will keep them from being torn up. And we got design, but I see what you're saying. So I'll bring other designs back. We're in no hurry. We didn't add anything last year, so that's the reason we would like to add 2 things. And whatever we do, we want it to.
I think that's definitely something we can work with. I think it's much needed. That's one of the complaints I get is there's not a lot of seating around in the park, especially with the heavy use that it gets now. I tell Rick, bring a folding chair if you want to. No problems doing that. But a permanent fixture would definitely help. The location that you're talking about, the only concern I have is with the events in front of the amphitheater. Do you think that would cause an issue with other people that are, most everybody brings a folding chair for those events, we're gonna block the view?
Well, we would be far enough back that the other chairs and stuff could be, because people set their chairs in different rows anyway, so I don't think that, and there's still plenty of room up there. It's completely cleaned out where the flower beds used to be up there.
Do you think it'd be pretty easy to access? Right now, if you were walking just up the sidewalk, you'd have to jump the curb to get up to it.
There's one place where the curb starts, that the step is like a half a block, and then you walk off. Or if you come from the back, if you come from the back way, you just walk straight on the dirt.
That's right, because there's a trail at the top, it kind of forks.
Yeah, circle at the back, so. But we'll come back to the drawing board with different designs, because we're in no hurry. We've got the money to spend, and we'd like to add something this year, so we'll come back for that.
I do like the blue.
You got the blue? Does everybody like the blue? I think it will look good. It's complimentary. Okay, and that includes everything that we had to work on, except we would, State Farm, Christina Ortiz, State Farm is some of our biggest supporters. Everybody knows that. And this year, they have donated $2,000 again to Envision Williamston for our endeavors. And Zach is here, and he would like to present us with a check. Ms. Williamson.
Outstanding, thank you, Zach, and Christina, thank you. Please let Christina know we appreciate it very much.
Item 17.
Who's going to be there?
Appreciate your support.
And we can't thank them enough for everything they always do. We never call and have an issue that they weren't right on board.
When Christina goes in, she's all in on
She's all in on everything she does, and she loves Williamston. That's one thing about it, she loves this town. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta.
Thank you.
All right, old business, we have item number 1, second reading on ordinance to amend zoning in the full commercial district. Rain, correct me if I'm wrong, put you on the spot. This deals primarily with, allowing of hotels, in the full commercial.
Up to 4.
Up to 4 stores. So that's the big change in there. This is second final reading. This time I'll entertain a motion to adopt as written. Have a motion on the floor for Councilman Rogers.
Second.
Second by Councilman Hagan. Discussion.
Mayor, I'd like to say if somebody wants to build a hotel, I hope they will do it, and we would love to see it.
If it's not the Grand Bohemian, I don't want it. No, I'm kidding.
What about Grove Park Inn?
Grove Park Inn will be good too. All right.
But you'll have to.
All right, let me see. I think I've already, did I pass that ordinance to you already?
The sign.
Yes.
I think you already sent it to me. Yeah, you sent it to me.
Okay, sorry, I was supposed to go around. I'm sorry. All right, at this time, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And it stands approved unanimously on second final reading. Item number 2, the second reading on the ordinance to amend non-conforming manufactured homes. Again, this is second final reading. This addresses homes that have been vacant for a long period of time that are non-conforming with our current ordinances. After a period of time, 180 days of being unoccupied, has got to go. You can't leave it unoccupied, then come back 5 years later and say, yeah, we're gonna fix her up when it's non-conforming already. Okay, again, this is second final reading. This time I entertain a motion.
Motion.
A motion on the floor to adopt by Councilman Rogers.
Second.
Second by Councilman Hagan. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And it's unanimous on second final reading as well. If y'all will start down there with Councilman Hagan, sign that and pass it back down to Chris, and you give it to Michelle. Yeah. Item number 3, we have updated mutual aid agreement with County of West Pelham. I'm not going to read because this was about 8 pages long, but basically, Chief, can you come to the mic? I'm going to tell you what I think it says, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's 5 pages long. What that does, it allows, if the town of West Pelzer Police Department needs an assistance, they can get on the radio and request that assistance. Our officers can't just respond there willy-nilly unless there is an emergency, they feel like there's something where an officer's in danger, then they can respond on their own. Otherwise, they have to be requested. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct. The request has to be made by either the chief or whoever he designates to make that request. Basically, what that agreement does is it keeps in place compensation, workman's comp, those type of issues. There is a statute under the law and allows another agency to respond. These are more like unplanned events, like maybe a funeral where you have a lot of traffic or natural disaster, something of that nature, but it covers both.
Or if we had a outside event, let's say Spring Water Festival, we didn't have enough officers, and they were willing to come work extra duty over Williamston under your direction and command, they could do that as well if you requested it.
If they're requested, yes.
Understood. We've had a similar agreement in place with the town of Belton before, the sheriff's office as well as the town of West Pelzer. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We have, yes.
In the past.
Yes.
Currently, we have one with the sheriff's office.
We have a statewide, we have one with the sheriff's office, we have one with Anderson City, and Honey Path is now in the works of getting one with you guys.
Clemson University also, correct?
Yes, well, Clemson is more of a contracted because they actually pay our personnel to go there. But yes, it's more extensive request.
All right, again, this is a, updated mutual aid agreement. I'm assuming we do that by resolution, right? Okay. All right, y'all have that, agency support agreement in hand. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt.
Motion.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Rogers.
Second.
Second by Councilman Higley. Discussion. Kind of already had a little bit of discussion. Any other discussion? Here no we'll call the question. All in favor? And it's unanimous. Chief, I already signed my consent. If you'll take that with you. That's got the, other signatures in there. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
First reading on item number 4 on new business, we have first reading of an ordinance to amend the budget for the purpose of a sanitation truck. For those of you who aren't aware, we had a horrific accident involving one of our newest garbage truck. Between the garbage truck and train, thankfully, our guys are recovering. We've got one return to work, 2 that are still out due to injuries. Correct me if I'm wrong, is that right, Michelle? No, one of them's returned.
Right.
So we were in desperate need of a 25 cubic yard. What we found is 25 cubic yard. Asked the mayor to begin a diligent search for a garbage truck and appropriating $300,000 toward that garbage truck. And happy to report, I was able to locate one in Tampa, Florida, a brand spanking new garbage truck for the low price. We negotiated back and forth, delivered for $210,500,
Yeah.
$210,500, saving down almost $85,000. I had checked everywhere prior to, and I didn't just take a blank $300,000 check from the dealership and go buy one. We could have done that, but thanks to our efforts and council putting their faith and confidence in me to be able to spend that money appropriately and get the best value, was able to save the town about $85,000. That's a lot of money. We received back from the insurance carrier
109.
$109,000. We was able to apply, so we got roughly a little over $100,000 in this brand new truck that will last us a very long time. To put that in perspective, we'll say this toward the end, but we've got 2 trucks, 2 older garbage trucks. Both of them are 20 cubic yard or smaller, that don't really fit our needs, that are going to auction, that are being made March the 24th, I think, up at Jeff Martin Auctioneers. To show you how much we use a vehicle and we get the best use out of it. One truck is a 1992 model. That's 34 years that truck has served the town of Williamston.
Is that the green machine?
That is the green machine that Chris remembers in the parade when it was brand hammer new and he was in high school. That truck, surprisingly enough, is I don't care if it's 40 below zero outside, it's a diesel, and the fuel is gelled up, will fire up every single time. But it has gotten tons and tons of age on it, and it's working like that. I think we put a bunch of money in keeping it up and going. And like I said, one of the biggest issues is it doesn't have the tippers on the back. We all have the cans, so it makes it really, really hard and inefficient on our guys. The second thing is the smaller trucks, we have to make multiple trips to the landfill. And while that doesn't sound like a big ordeal, the landfill is right over here. Some days you go in and go dump in 15, 20 minutes. Some days you're in line for 4 hours waiting to dump. So anytime you're doing that, you can cut down those trips, cuts down the chances for an accident to happen at the landfill or en route back and forth to the landfill, and it keeps our guys more productive. All right? Good Lord, that was a mouthful. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt on first reading to amend our budget to cover that cost of $210,500 for the purchase of the sanitation truck. Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Alexander, second by Councilman.
Thank you for the effort that you made in getting this at such a lower price than what we expected it would be, and with a basically new truck. I think
It is brand new.
Yeah, well, it's 2024, but brand new.
It's a 2024 model, it's brand new.
And so I think that's you went above and beyond on that, so we appreciate that.
Can I also add that warranty is the same as a brand new, it's the day of delivery, which was last week, is when that warranty period starts. So if it could have been a 2026 model, the warranty period is exactly the same. It starts the day we receive it.
And an impressive 2-year warranty.
It is a very, very good 2-year warranty.
And also, Mayor, it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we have received in excess of, or that we're going to receive in excess of what we paid for the insurance for our, the truck that was destroyed.
So the truck that was destroyed, again, was a 25 cubic yard truck. It was a tandem axle, but not a drop axle. That was another thing. This new one actually has a drop axle, so sometimes we have heavy wards or some of the larger wards, there'll be a lot of weight on that truck. And if you're a truck driver, a lot of weight on those axles, we can drop that third axle if we need to. That'll get us safely back and forth. But yes, you're correct.
We got 9,000 more than we paid for it.
That's correct. That's the biggest difference. We got $9,000 more than we paid for it. How we came about that truck was the town of Hunting Path got out of the garbage business. So I was able to negotiate the purchase of their old truck, which actually had about 30,000 miles on. It's a fairly new truck that was totaled out with a train provision. We were able to buy that for $100,000. We received $109 back from insurance. So we did pretty good on it. Any other discussion? All right, here now we'll call the question. All in favor of ordinance number on first reading? I'll say aye. Check, everybody. Don't say aye, raise your hand. We met with council at our work session last Monday. We actually had it on Monday, and covered council's desire. It's been my desire to have sidewalks on Ringgold Drive for quite some time. Ringgold Drive will be our next growth forward. 100% positive that, no doubt in my mind. There's very few areas of town that you can grow without demolishing people's homes and stuff like that. Ringgold Drive, you have Tractor Supply coming, and you have Spinks coming. That area in between, while it's got a great shoulder, a lot of room on the shoulder of the road, does not have suitable sidewalks. That's something I think Councilman Haygood, I think, it made the comment that I think every single administration has looked at that at some point in time. Finding funding for it has been quite a challenge. A couple of years ago, when I first took office as mayor, the funding was going to be about $1 million in a sidewalk. That's 4 foot wide, standard sidewalks on DOT's right of way. So this came back up again recently. I've been back and forth with DOT. And so what I decided to do was try to get with the planning commission. There's no way we could afford that in one lump sum. Not in good conscience. So the better thing to do would be to try to get a grant or allow the private investors that are coming in to build in that area. It costs them very little money to add a 4 foot wide sidewalk along that area on their property line, And so that as that develops, that sidewalk comes to fruition on its own. DOT, you got to pull a DOT permit and all that good stuff. Before we got a chance and that came with the recommendation of the planning commission as well, before we got a chance to actually implement that by ordinance, Spinks came along. And so in our conversation with Spinks, they agreed, yeah, we'll put sidewalks in, no problem. So they went to go pull that permit with DOT, and DOT said, and I quote, "We are not interested in any more sidewalks we have to maintain." And so, hard stop. That was full stop, the end. Obviously that caused me some concern because we know that this body would like to see sidewalks on Ringgold Drive, much more than a shoulder of the road. So I asked them to please clarify what that position is, what is the issue. There's several issues, they gave them to me in writing that I was able to send back to council, but long story short, it's going to be such that private investors could not do. It's going to require the town working with the Department of Transportation. They own SC20, aka Ringgold Drive. It's not our road. We can't build on it if we want to. And I did ask DOT, if we appropriate money, we just go build it ourselves, what are you going to do? He said, you'd probably end up some litigation. You would lose that battle on our right of way. So he suggested we go off of their right of way and get on the private property. Again, that's going to require private property people to say, yeah, that many private property owners through there. The town owns the old salvage yard across New Prospect, so a certain town will allow it, but you got to have other people allowing it to come to fruition. Now, that also said one of the other stipulations was you can't just put sidewalk in. You've got to go through the stormwater, the drains, catch basins, all that good stuff to be able to control that. They will not allow us to put sidewalk just on their right of way. So in the conversation we've had, we've agreed, and the council's asked me several questions that I just flat couldn't answer. I don't know what DOT will allow us to do, I know what they won't allow us to do. So we've agreed that we will have DOT come in, meet with us, collectively as a group, so we can ask them those questions, they can tell us what we can and can't do, so that we can develop a plan of action to be able to get sidewalks on Greenville Drive. Right now, I can't tell you what that looks like. DOT's talking about making a shared use path, is that what the email said? And I said, I don't really understand the terminology, what is a shared use path? It's basically the shoulder on the side of the road that you have now, with maybe some delineators, kind of like what's back behind Town Hall, on that sidewalk in the parking lot, you will see those reflective delineators sticking up. Again, that does nothing for somebody walking to church in a muddy area or in an area that's got standing water. So anyhow, that's where we're at. We talked about potentially going ahead and appropriating money for that project. I'm of the opinion, we don't even know how much the project's gonna cost or what that looks like. Why would we appropriate money? But we did agree, meet with DOT, find out what they will, let's get an action plan together. We're gonna start planning our budget in April. So that will be the time that we can look at revenues that came in this year, what went out, how can we make this project come to fruition in the most economical and feasible way. I happen to sit on the ANATS committee as well, the planning committee. It's been brought up there. They have some TAP funds, that's the Transportation Alternative Plan. It's basically DOT funds that we can apply for. The problem is, it's only $400,000 of money. That project I was telling you about when I initially took office, it was about $1 million. The latest estimate with stormwater and all the things that are required, if we put it on DOT's property, will be closer to $10 million. That is an insane amount of money to be able to put sidewalks in. So there's got to be a better way. But we need to meet with DOT and find out what they will not allow. Get with our engineering firm, develop a plan that's reasonable, and start applying for money. My preference would be to take what funds we do have, use those as match funds to extend our tax dollars as far as they possibly can toward that project. And I want to tell you, I'm committed to making that project happen. I think this body's committed to making that happen. That's what I have. That's all I have on the Greenville Drive sidewalks. If anybody else has anything else?
You mentioned that Tony is.
Hold on a second. This is for council.
Okay.
In just a minute, I will ask if it's okay with the body. Normally, we don't do input back and forth with the general public, but if the body will allow, I would be happy for you to come on speak. Any member of council? And I've also appointed Councilman Haygood too to act on my behalf. If there's anything he can see that needs to be done that's not being done, he has the full authority of the mayor to make that happen. Okay? He's just like me though. He didn't have the power to purse strings. I can't go spend $1 million on something or $10 million. I have to come before the body and request that. But as far as talking with DOT, negotiating with DOT, talking with engineers, he can act as on my behalf. Okay? Members of council, do y'all mind entertaining any information in the audience? No objection? Please come up to the mic if you don't mind, because it helps for us to be able to hear those in the audience.
Okay.
And this is Ms. Jennifer, and I think you own some property there on Greenville Drive.
I do,
So she has a vested interest.
Yeah, and increase in the property value is great. Thank you for letting me speak. But my question is directly with regard to the questions that came up online. Mr. Haygood mentioned a sad family event, which sidewalks aren't in the center of the road where this tragedy happened. And he posed a question and some information online and walked away from the conversation, and it was a mess. And I discovered that he is the ward councilman, Ward 1. How can he be a Ward 1 councilman when he lives in Ward 3 or 2? I thought you had to live in the ward where you ran for council, and I don't understand why that's different now. Can somebody tell me?
You can look up state statutes. State statutes pretty clear what the cause of action is. Any person, if they feel like that person's not suitable, they can go before the circuit court and petition that circuit court. That's the proper way for any type of dispute like that.
Well, Mr. Haygood has 605 North Hamilton Street as his address. And I have talked to the people in Anderson at the Election Commission and Ethics in Columbia, and I'm waiting to hear back from the person who's over that. And they said that they show a house on that property, but there's not. I think it's an old map, and he doesn't live there, but he has that as his address, which is in Ward 1, I believe. So I don't understand how that can happen. I'll find out more tomorrow, but I'm also kind of shocked that I can't find out tonight from you. Why that
It's
happened.
not understanding, is the circuit court, anytime that's challenged, anybody can challenge a residence requirement, it has to go through the circuit court, that's my understanding. But anybody else is welcome to pipe up and tell me different.
Okay, well, I'll find out more tomorrow.
I
And
know-
they're
I know
gonna be
they came up-
investigating, they're sending out the GIS people tomorrow to see if there is a house on that property, and there is not, but that's the address that was used. And it's in Ward 1, but he doesn't live there. So to me, that seems a little bit unethical, but I'll find out more.
We see that happen, particularly, I think there was some issues in Greenville County and whatnot, but the courts had to determine whether that was their primary residence or not.
Well, and for what it's worth, the property at 605 North Hamilton, the taxes have not been paid. It went past January, it went past January 15th, February 15th, and those taxes still have not been paid. And that lot is not in your name, at least not solely. So,
Thank you, thank
and
you.
we know he lives in your area, and they're supposed to be vetted when somebody runs for an office. So, I hope that doesn't come back, but they're supposed to be vetted whenever they run. And it's clear that he doesn't live in that area because he's renting a house from you. Okay?
And I mean, and just like the next
They
meeting,
will be what?
I said they will be welcome at our next meeting.
Okay, well, this is gonna be handled long before the next meeting because ethics will be looking into it. And they've already seen the address that's on file, and GIS will be going out to see there's no house. I mean, a house can't be built between now and the time they go out. You can't put a mobile out there on that property. Okay, thank you.
All right, next up we have, do we have any further discussion on the Greenville Drive sidewalks?
Mayor, I'd like to say a quick thing on the issue of the sidewalks. That is, since we've, the last few, I guess since I've been on council, which I guess going on, or it's 5 years now, and I know even before that, a priority of the council has been, for improvements on that Greenville Drive corridor, which, is a gateway into town, and also on the way with that. One thing is sidewalks that we don't have. And so whether it is some type of alternative use or sidewalks would be the preferable thing, I'm certainly for that. So another thing that this mayor and I think that the previous mayor and over probably 10 plus years is having more pedestrian access throughout town, more trails, more sidewalks, more walking, more cycling. A lot of people, I need to be out cycling, but I'm not doing it. Or I need to be out walking, I ain't doing that much either. But
Trails up.
yeah, the trails. So, but that's been a priority, and it's something that's I think a big quality of life thing. And that is, I think we've come a long way there too. Along with, I think the Greenville Drive corridor, in my mind, is the most pressing, but also my plan is to continue to look in the future. Again, it comes down to money, because the cost of things is just constantly shocking to me, how much these things cost now. But to finish a full walkway to the schools from on the Minor Street side, and then if we do it on Greenville Drive, we'll have a full walkway on the Greenville Drive side, and then also down Hamilton Street where we've had some traffic issues and there's a lot of foot traffic on there too. So those are things that I, and I know other councilmen want to look at in the coming years, and as we have, money in the budget and grants, continue to try to do that. And we also are in the process of updating we have a pedestrian master plan that was done in 2015, headed up by now Representative Blake Sanders, who's an architect as well. And we're looking at having that updated because we've made a lot of progress in what we looked at in the master plan as a plan for the future. We've made a lot of progress, but we got places that we still need to go, and that will help us see where we need to go. And also it shows ideas like these combined bike lanes and mixed use lanes and things like that. So I appreciate Mayor and the rest of the council and having these things on the top of our to-do list, and something that I also want to continue to work towards.
Thank you. Any other? All right. Next up, we have item number 6. Before we move on, can we all agree by show of hands that we are committed to appropriate any matching funds that's needed to get that Greenville Sidewalk Drive project underway, if we can afford to do that in our next budget cycle? Absolutely.
We're taking a vote on.
We're committed. We're committed to looking into it, appropriate at least something for that project to make it happen. I think that was all those considered there. Okay. All right. Next up, we have item number 6, a resolution to terminate the services of CC&I LLC. That was one of the first things I did whenever I took office. Was to bring in-house our own CC&I, our own building inspection, building permit services. I found that to be important to the town of Williamston. Number one, I personally had a lot of issues, and I know a lot of other contractors had issues. Primarily, we get plan reviews in time for the county. I think right now they're running 60 to 90 days, and you've done a little bit more research than I have, but that's what they're telling me, is 60 to 90 days to be able to get up to, they can get it done today. But they're saying 60 to 90 days to get plan reviews done. If you have a building like Sphinx, that's ready to roll, they're ready to get boots on the ground, we want to welcome them with open arms and get them as quickly as we possibly can. And the objective was to make the process as painless as possible. People come here to the office, want to pull a permit, no, we don't do that, we go to the county. And they go to the county, make 2 or 3 trips to the county before they got things figured out. The idea was to make things simpler. I think for a while this worked very, very well. I think members of council has gotten a lot of complaints, like what we heard tonight from Mr. Brandt. And so council asked me to add to the agenda a resolution to cease their services, and Rain, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the contractual agreement says either party has a 30-day out, so we got to notify them within 30 days. So if that passes tonight, I will issue them that notice that, what do we call it, basically terminating services, effective, I guess it would be the second. Proposing an RFP, and the last conversation I had with council was put out an RFP for other private companies. State law says that we have to have a planning department. You got to have 2 things: a permit office and a building code official. We have no one here that is qualified to be a building code official. Now, the agreement with CC&I Services is we get 20% of all permit fees, and I made them match exactly what the county was. It's enforcement, not codes enforcement, building codes enforcement. All right, strictly to building structures like what the stop work order, and they have the potential to actually match your opinion, bring you into this courtroom before city magistrate. I'm not aware of that ever happening here with any of our building code officials. Normally issue a stop work order, tell them what they're non-compliant with, and they go from there and get them in. But that's the quick, skinny version of the reason they were brought in to begin with. I will also add that, like these members of council, I too have gotten lots of complaints, most of which have been unfounded. You have folks that they won't, particularly, nothing against landlords. I'm a landlord too. But if a water heater goes out, I technically can't go in there and replace that water heater myself. I gotta do a full permit. That's a frustrating, aggravating thing. If the county, you gotta do the same thing. We've adopted the exact same regulations the county has. However, there's a lack of enforcement. Why? Because they're in Anderson. They're not riding through here looking for folks doing things they ought not be doing. But I have gotten complaints, a few of them have been found. But it seems to be the will of the body that we terminate those services. If we do, I'm not gonna ask for to issue an RFP. I will request that we do go back to the county. I'll let the county handle it. Especially since Councilman Rogers actually talked to the county administrator, and they've agreed to provide building codes enforcement for free. It costs us a dime. Right now, again, we pull permits, we get 20% of those fees. All right? We in turn pay them $75 an hour. I know that sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but those are licensed building code officials that can handle those matters when they come to us. One of the other reasons that I brought them in, it was a vote of council, but I wanted to privatize it, get it more closer to us, was that we had that strong enforcement action when we needed it. We could make that phone call, get somebody out there, because none of us are qualified to do that. If you've got tall grass, no problem. We can send deputy staff or building code officials. But they are able to enforce our ordinances such as tall grass, nuisance abatement, those type of things. All right? So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to terminate those services. Hold on a second. Let's get a motion on the floor a second.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, got a motion on the floor by Councilman Rogers.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cole. All right, you got the floor, Councilman.
Okay, you're talking about nuisance abatement. I mean, nuisance abatement, of course, Chief Mark said they don't have personnel to handle. I mean, they'll be enforcement. Condemning buildings, tearing them down.
There is, the county does charge a fee for that?
There's $10,000 a year fee for that.
Okay. I mean, I would be opposed to that. It's up to the body, whatever we decide to do.
And I put personnel for county building codes, have they increased over the years?
Yes, they currently have a new division, for lack of better terms, I think all but one. So they do have a separate department. It's created, I think, in the last 2 years approximately, and
We were struggling.
they're very active from what my conversations are.
Thank you, sir.
Rank, correct me if I'm wrong, if we're gonna go along with appropriating money toward, let's say the county.
I would put on your next agenda, because you're going to be changing, because money's got to be paid out of your budget, so.
Understand.
I think we put it there. You can do a resolution tonight to terminate the contract.
Any other findings, any other information? I try to give a little pretext as to why they're here, and then,
I would like to go into executive session if we could amend the agenda to discuss one issue.
it is a contractual matter. So we've got a motion on the floor and a second already, we're in discussion period. Rain, if you want to move that we go into executive session, discussion. Second by Councilman Alexander. Any other discussion on executive session? I will go ahead and knock it out. We don't have any other executive session for anybody else in the media, so the only thing we'll be talking about is this. We'll return to executive session. We'll be back hopefully soon.
My daughter wants cake.
And she wants cake, and I don't blame her. Huh? Just a little bit, just your little microphone. It's okay, it's okay. I don't know how, remember you had to tell me last time.
This time, I'll make a motion to the services of CCNI.
So delete item number
Number two regarding RFPs in April 30th, 2026.
Well, I was saying that we don't, if it's, my understanding, do we need it, if there's only one other potential company, do we need to do RFPs?
That,
I'll make it simple, I'll amend my motion to just change it to effective April 30th, 2026.
I'll second that. All right, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Cole to amend line 1 where it's terminated effective March 31st.
municipalities for not having to compete.
So I will say that, David, myself, and Kim Strickland have been tireless advocates for getting roads paved in Williamston. That, I've heard the same thing. How did you guys get it done? We got our ducks in a row. I come before council, get a resolution commitment for a match money, and, we show up to the meetings, and when the kid people start passing those, they're, wait a minute now, we got one of the books that been in the books for quite a while. And that project may include like this one, similar discussion. Hearing none, Larry, all question, all in favor? All right, unanimous. Quick thing for the good of the order, we've got, Veterans Park Bridge, the abutments is scheduled to start, we awarded that to Tony Young, he was here earlier. He'll be doing the concrete work on the abutments on both sides, he was low bid, under our purchasing policy.
As soon as now they can start, they'll
We'll
start.
start repainting the bridge, and then just as soon as I possibly can, I'm gonna be praying to set that thing back up, and that will open up another approximately quarter-mile trail. We had re-roofed, how long ago, does anybody remember?
Yeah, it's about 4 years.
So the roof's got a 30-year, I think it's a 30-year.
What was the anticipated time? No, I'm sorry, I mean, to speak up.
I said 60 days from the time I made the bridge up, and I think we're gonna beat that. I'm trying to under promise and over deliver. Almost said that.
What are you hoping for Bobbers on Big Creek?
When is that?
That's in June.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, May, yeah, it's done for May, that'd be great.
Well, so I want to do two things, because a lot of this stuff, actually three things, because a lot of it kind of goes in play. As most of you have seen, we had, phase 2 or 3, whichever one you want, because actually phase 2, planned phase 2, we did get awarded. So we got Veterans Park down, across the project, and at the same time, we have a little money left over, and we're able to pick up where, Big Creek Station is and continue that back down to the schools. Again, that's one of our big key things, is trying to, make it safe for kids to go to walk to school, to safe route to school. So we got those two sections opening, that we'll celebrate. We got the disc golf coming, and the Big Creek Station, that won't do a big kickoff. They're ready, they got all the permits in place, and I think they got CEO, or they're in the process of getting it. So, coordinate with Will as well, and I'll try to get a date. And so we'll have a big grand opening on a lot of things.
I think he said April 1st, don't hold me to that, but I think the last time we talked, he said April 1st was what.
Let's make sure. We're all gonna sing happy birthday to Rain now. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order? All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Got a motion on the floor by Councilor Rogers. Second by Councilor Hagan, any discussion? Hearing none, call question. All in favor? Thank you.